Hey, so I want to look at Draftkings. It's been a while since we looked at them. The last time we did was on March 20th. They were trading at $17 at the time. They're currently trading at $18. And we'll just pull up the 1 month chart just so we can see. So around 320 back in this range, 17. Um, I had a buy point of 12, resistance point of 20. We'll see how that kind of fares. Outside of that, we're just going to go over some news that I've seen since the last time we checked on them. And then we'll move to the technical analysis, see if we can find uh, a good time to buy in this one, see if it changed from that $12 up or down. And yeah, so with that said, let's just kind of get into actually one more thing. So I want to make sure I point this out. DraftKings has been beating on its earnings. So for the past four earnings, they've been winning, uh, normally just by a little bit. Uh, and one quarter they beat by a pretty significant amount. One caveat to this is these are all negative figures, so they're just losing less money than expected. So that is one thing to keep in mind. Uh, Also, if we look at the financials real quick, you can see their revenue is effectively doubling almost every year. I'm not sure if that's going to happen this year. We will find out soon enough. But the revenue is growing substantially. So we need to keep that in mind. It's just the income. They are just spending so much money to get, I guess, operational in a state. And hopefully, when it kind of streamlines, we'll see that operating expense come down. Let's see what it's going in. It's going into selling, general, and admin. Most of it is in the selling. Yeah, they're doing advertisements. This kind of makes sense. Hopefully, once they get enough of the population that they need to become sustainable, they'll lower that selling and marketing expense. But uh, we'll see how it plays out. So, getting into the news, let's see. So, the first one, just real simple. They were recognized as one of America's greatest workplaces for diversity. Sounds pretty good to me. That's a positive here. Uh, this article, it just touches on how Jason Robbins, he is the co-founder, CEO, and chairman, and he was attending this JP Morgan gaming, lodging, restaurant, leisure management type of event. Uh, Again, hosted by JP Morgan. And so just something to be aware of that they're in this type of market. JP Morgan had them just to see kind of what's going on, what they can expect. So I think that shows that, they're getting invited to these events. That means they're probably growing. They're becoming a threat to a degree, or just, they're having more weight to kind of throw around. And so their opinion it matters more than maybe it did in the past. This next one, DraftKings State Council funding program expands responsible gaming efforts. So I thought this one was nice. Um, they basically just explain how uh, they are giving back to the people with gambling problems. So we'll just kind of scroll through, but DraftKings announced that they were pleased to join the National Council on Problem Gambling, state councils, and gaming industry on marking Problem Gambling Awareness Month, which was held in March. The state council have a unique role in serving as chief advocates for individuals and families impacted um, by problem gambling, and that's why we're honored to support their work through DraftKings, and representing $1.5 million of commitment to further responsible gambling. So they're giving a lot of money. It goes on to explain how, as part of the program, DraftKings grants participating state councils $15,000 each year for a 3-year trial program. So I'm wondering if this is kind of like how they're negotiating entering new states, or once they do enter a state, this is kind of like they're giving back. I'm sure this is a fee that um, I'm sure they'll continue to do this. You know, sort of like McDonald's and how they give back to like health awareness. This is kind of like the same thing. You know, because in their eyes, you know, gambling is meant to be fun. It's meant to just be, you know, honestly, almost like alcohol or just any type of um, activity. In all honest, it's meant to be done in like moderation. The problem is some people just don't know when to stop or don't realize certain they're just unaware of kind of what's going on around them, or they think they can make it up somehow. um, so it's nice to see that they're giving back, and this is just one way for them to do it. I thought this other piece was nice here. They mentioned how in Virginia, uh, that the money is funding has been valuable in not just allowing the council to host support groups for affected individuals, but also with completing professional training so the individual have trained providers to assist them outside of the support groups. So it doesn't have to go to these people who lost their money through gambling. It could be a counselor. They're helping this person become a counselor to help someone, you know, navigate that type of environment that they might have got themselves into. Next, we have the rise of sports gambling. So I like this one just because, you know, if we weren't aware already, this was just kind of a nice summary of kind of how this market even came to be. So back in 2018, the Supreme Court decision overturned a federal ban of sports betting that was only allowed in Nevada. Um, However, since then, numerous states have legalized sports betting, and many more are considering doing so. With many states, where's this part? With many states, I think I skipped it. Um, with many states, right? Okay, so this is kind of like the idea behind it. So, with many states in deep budget deficits, the tax income generated from sports gambling, the legalization of it, it provides so much needed revenue. Um, in turn, politicians can justify sports gambling by using the revenue in positive ways, such as providing low income housing or putting it towards improving crumbling infrastructure. Uh, this kind of argument is very similar to like the marijuana type stocks that we also cover. So it's interesting to see how they're playing it. They're basically saying, hey, this is another activity that the state and just people in general can make money, and so you can then use that tax money to fund all these projects that, you know, everyone has something that they are currently doing, and whatever the state's doing, whether it's the housing or the infrastructure, it's a nice tactic to go for. So it continues on by saying only 30 states allow sports gambling, but many others are on the fast track to legalization. That's kind of what we're banking on. Is currently only 30 states allow it, so there's still 20 other states out there that can capture more market share. And we'll kind of go into DraftKings specifically, but 30 states right now. There's Florida's on the way. They've legalized sports gambling, but it's not yet operational. So that's a huge state, and it's going to be coming soon. And apparently, many other states have introduced bills or are set to vote on the matter. So a couple of states might be joining us this year, or certainly probably next year, I would imagine. Um, Moving forward, currently DraftKings has the biggest presence domestically and holds a monopoly on two states. Again, this was one of the main reasons why we picked them, is because we knew they were going to be the biggest in the market. So they have more of themselves out there in the market, and that's why we picked them to follow. I think we chose second place too, so we'll cover them soon enough. Just get a recap of what they've been up to. Uh, the last thing I wanted to touch on for this one is the sports betting market is racing to see which companies can get the most states and gain a foothold. Taking on new states is cumbersome and expensive, but DraftKings has the current lead with 19 states. So that's another thing. So just because there's 30 states, not all of these companies are in all 30. And like this is the proof right here. DraftKings is only in 19 of the 30. So not only are there 20 states that are most likely at some point going to allow this to happen, but there's also 11 states that do allow it that DraftKings has not yet entered into. So plenty of growth still available in the market. It's just DraftKings is trying to get out there. So to me, that's kind of justification for why the expenses are so above and beyond the revenue. Is they have to get all these operations up and running. So I'm on board with it. The last article that I came across was they were going to try to put some sort of sports bet on the Boston Marathon. I It makes sense, but at the same time, I was like, aren't these just like normal people? You know, like I could potentially be in the Boston Marathon, so you could potentially bet on me. It makes sense, but at the same time, I'm like, I just wouldn't have thought of it. So yeah, not much really goes on here. They mentioned that Massachusetts gambling regulators denied a request to allow the betting to take place, citing concerns by the race's organizers. Um, it goes on, all four members of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission who participated in the online meeting voted against the request. Um, Although the Boston Marathon attracts about 30,000 runners, the DraftKings proposal would have been to only allow bets to be placed on the elite women or men. So um, I'm not sure how many choices you could have picked on, but based on that, no, you could not have picked me unless I became, I don't know, the top 100 men runners, something like that. Then maybe I would have been on the list, but so that was the caveat. So they obviously weren't going to put all 30,000 people in there. And the last piece that I wanted to mention is the state last month started allowing online sports wagering on pro sports and some college sports. The online rollout came about a month after in-person sports betting came. I just brought that up because I wasn't sure, and maybe someone in the comments might know, is that normal that first they're going to have like a in-person casino and then they would allow. I feel like this was just a Massachusetts thing, how they handled it, because if anything, I would imagine it'd be easier to get online sports before like in person. But uh, yeah, if anyone has any idea on that, by all means, let me know in the comments. But now getting into the technicals, so you can see, we'll zoom in a little bit. We have our uh, green line, that was their buy point, that $12. We had a fair value of 15, which again, I just picked that because it seemed like there was a lot of lines like hovering around that point. We met some resistance here. You could argue there was some support back here. And now more recently, where I, I drew in this gold line because based on kind of I thought we might see a pattern like this where we just continue to drop back down to like maybe 12. Currently, that's not happening. And again, the last time we looked was somewhere in this region, right in here, these 2 weeks. Or I guess it was during this week, maybe like Tuesday of this week. So we started seeing some red candles. So again, the thinking was we're going to follow some pattern like this, where we're just going to slowly and maybe more quickly at certain times, we would just come back down to at least that blue line, the fair value line, potentially follow the exact same pattern, reach that $12 buy point. That's not happening. It looks like we might have found a bottom here at about 17. We'll continue to watch this one. At this point, I don't think I'm ready to buy at that point. What I am going to do is mark out a horizontal line here, right at 17. We're going to make that green, and we'll make it like half the size just to see, is that really going to be the new support line right around $17. So at this point, I'm going to remove that gold line, just because clearly that was not how this is going. Um, I think that's pretty much it for this. Um, I guess for now, I'm curious to see just will it continue trading at this level. We're currently in the middle of the week right now. We'll see where the week finishes. It looks like it's going to end positively, uh, especially after 3 days now in the current week. Uh, yeah, we'll see where this one wraps up. So while we do that, let me just kind of update my spreadsheet here, just so I can share, basically update. Um, we'll say 17, and make that pink. Resistance 20. Currently, it's the 12th. Possibly found new support at 17. Okay, so let me share the tracker. So right now we have Draftkings right up here. So currently they're around 18. We kept our buy point of 12, but added 17 because that might be the new support line for this one. I still think they're going to run into some resistance at 20. We'll see how long that lasts though. Then of course we updated the date and then notated that it possibly found new support at 17. And apparently I had a short position on this one at $19. So I'm going to close that out. I don't want any short positions anymore, not at this point. So I'm going to close that out first thing tomorrow morning and be done with it. Possibly might add DraftKings like as a buy and hold them for the future. But let me know what your thoughts are on DraftKings, and yeah, just would you make that buy? If we zoom back out, I mean, this company has a lot of potential, but would you buy it right now? Like, is there something more intriguing that you want to kind of dig into? Pretty much anything. Just let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to read that. But yeah, otherwise, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.